On ESPN, looking for match day powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. We're looking ahead to the second ODI. India have taken a 1-0 lead, but they have a few selection calls to make. Let's get Ian, Bell and Aakash Chopra's views then. All right, point number one, gentlemen, and India have a selection call to make. Aakash, unfortunate injury to Shreyas Iyer. So what happens now? Surya Kumar Yadav waiting, Rishabh Pant waiting, Shubman Gill waiting. Which way would you go?
Well, Shubman will continue to wait. There is, I think, a toss-up between Rishabh Pant and Surya Kumar Yadav. But the way Surya Kumar Yadav actually batted in the T20Is, I think he might just pip Rishabh Pant to the post. KL Rahul is doing a decent job behind the stumps. He is your number one keeper batsman in this format, is what we have made to understand in the last 12 to 18 months. So I think Surya Kumar Yadav is all set to make his ODI debut.
Okay, it seems like such a tempting option, Ian, especially given what we saw of Surya and the T20Is. Imagine if this ODI series was right after the tests. Then in that case, you feel, oh, Rishabh Pant is the form that I need to cash in on. All of a sudden, that's changed. You've seen a couple of innings of Surya Kumar Yadav, and you're excited to put him in. Would you go the same way?
I think I would at the moment. I think it's such an exciting opportunity, isn't it? Two really talented players. But the way Yadav actually played, I thought in the middle overs for India in that T20 was absolutely fantastic. And it's nice headaches to have, isn't it? Two players like that sat on the sideline ready to go. And I suppose as a batsman in this Indian squad, when you get an opportunity, you want to take it. But from watching Yadav in those T20s, there were some amazing cricket shots in there. And Pant does the same thing. So you go either way. I think it really is a fine line. But probably Yadav for me at the moment just takes that.
Okay, well, Surya Kumar Yadav looks likely then as far as Aakash and Ian are concerned. What about England's selection call now, Ian? We know that Owen Morgan struggled with a little on his hand. He should be okay for this one. Sam Billings, we're not quite sure. But what about Liam Livingstone? Can he come in and take that number 3 spot?
Probably not number 3. I think Ben Stokes will have 3 through this series. I think whether Billings, I think you're right again, same thing with Morgan, Billings, see how they pull up. Obviously, you've got Livingstone who could come in light for Billings, and he does offer another option with the ball as well. Some decent-ish off spin. But that could happen. Again, I don't see Mark Wood potentially playing both back-to-back games. So we might see Topley and obviously Parkinson as a young leg spinner might get an opportunity and they rest Rashid. So I think Morgan's quite open to, in this 50-over series, having a look at his squad. In T20, he wanted to play his best side time and time again. But I think we will see some changes from England.
Yeah, it looks a formidable batting unit. Even in that last game, they had their moments, Aakash. But does this idea of Ben Stokes at 3 in ODIs excite you?
Well, see, he's a match winner. He's a game changer. The more over he bats, you know that he's going to make an impact. But it's not just about Ben Stokes. The one thing that's standing out in this English batting lineup, and one thing is that they do miss Root in the longer format, 50-over cricket, because he's that glue who keeps the team together. And secondly, they're actually just running away with the game. And then we've seen far too many collapses for anyone's liking. So if you've got that kind of depth in the batting department, it has to eventually translate into just managing a minor collapse and then bouncing back. That hasn't happened in the last 2 or 3 games now on the bounce. And it also tells me that Morgan will have to take a bit more responsibility as a batsman, because as a captain, we may not find any faults with what he's doing. But Morgan, the batsman, isn't really helping Morgan, the captain.
Okay, interesting. Let's talk about one more selection call-up potentially for Virat Kohli to make. And you can't help but feel a little bit for Kuldeep Yadav in and out of the side. It's not been happy times for Kuldeep in the last year or so, Aakash. And that average in ODI cricket now since 2019 is nearly touching 40. Didn't have a good outing of it in the first ODI. Would you be tempted to swap the wrist spinners?
Not just yet. You know, it's a 3-match series. And if you're not managing workload, there is no reason for you to change the personnel who played the first game, irrespective of what they did and irrespective of where the actually result had gone. So Kuldeep Yadav played 1 test match. You dropped him after that. There were a couple of rank turners after that, but you didn't play him. And now you play in the first game, you drop him again. Then you're not really helping his cause. We all know that he is low on confidence. Now that you've decided to invest some faith in him, then have some faith in your own judgment as well. So I wouldn't actually touch Kuldeep Yadav. However, tempting the option is in form of Yuzi Chahal.
Okay, and finally, England and their death bowling. Now, is that a bit of a concern now? Yes, they're missing Jofra Archer in. They went for 112 in their last 9, but we saw this as a bit of a problem even in the T20 eyes. They don't finish as well as they've started. From the options that they do have, what can they do to address that?
No, you're right. I mean, their power play up front's been outstanding, hasn't it? And they were brilliant up front in the first 10 overs. But I think it will be. I think there'll be discussions behind the scenes about what are they going to do. They've probably been a little bit predictable in terms of bashing heavy length and bowling short. And they probably don't have the variation of changes of pace that India have had. So I think there'll be a lot of talk about that. And how are they going to go? Can they go full and straight and go Yorkers will be one. But I think it is a little concern at the moment. The last 3 overs in a T20 and also what happened in the last 6-7 overs after a really good, actually, they did everything they could. They took some really key wickets going into the last 10, but they still couldn't manage to keep a lid on that last 10 overs.
Yeah, it was a lot of runs to concede against one batsman who's desperate to find form and the other who's on debut. Akash, what was off about England's death bowling? What is it that they're getting wrong here?
Whatever Ian has mentioned is exactly the way it is panning out. England's bowling attack, the strategy, the tactics are wonderful with the 2 new balls or 1 new ball in T20 cricket, back of length, hit the deck hard, hit high on the bat. But then the same formula does not work in the death overs. If you were to look at the last 3 games, 2 T20Is, the third could be the one-day game, you'll find they've conceded more than 100 runs every single time in the back 10. And that's never a good thing. And you need to have plans, plan A, plan B. If you become predictable, it is no matter how quick you bowl, you will be taken for runs. So maybe bowl full straight or go wide and full. Change of pace quite a bit because Indian fast bowlers, barring this ODI series, since there is no Jofra, Indian fast bowlers have been about 15 kilometers slower than their counterparts. But they've been more effective because they've used the pace or rather the variations to good effect, something that English bowlers haven't.
Yep, fair points. Right, let's see which team recovers better after that first ODI. India have the lead. England must win this to stay alive in the series. Thank you to Aakash Chopra and Ian Bell. This was our preview to the second ODI between India and England on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G.